Okay, my name is Dr. Vanessa Snyder, and I am here just to discuss a little bit today about our certification in Christian sex therapy. So I am actually the academic dean for the Institute of Sexual Wholeness, which is the organization that offers or that works in partnership with Richmont in order to enable our students to be able to have a certification in Christian sex therapy. Also, ISW is an overhead organization that oversees the ABCST, which is an accrediting body that actually allows for certification as a Christian sex therapist. So just going to share a little bit today about this specific track, what it includes, and what it can offer you guys. So what is sex therapy? Basically, it's the therapeutic relationship between the therapist and the client, whether it's an individual, a couple, or a family that really talks about sexual issues. It helps to identify areas that need enhancement or fulfillment, also dysfunction, solve problems that are simple to complex issues. All of Freud's psychoanalysis was based on really whether humans have the ability to construct or deconstruct their attributions around sexuality. Well, we know that Freud had this big idea that we were driven by two innate drives, sex and aggression. Well, we realized that he probably was a little bit off with regard to that, but we do have a fundamental understanding that sex and our sexuality really plays a huge role in who we are individually as well as who we are relationally. So what this certification track does is to help us to establish healthy ways of relating with regard to our own sexuality and then our sexuality between us and others. So what is sex therapy? Really helps us to define healthy boundaries and sensitivity to people and individuals' specific beliefs and understanding on sex and sexuality. It offers hope for healing with regard to sexual brokenness, sexual dissatisfaction, and a wide variety of sex challenges that individuals experience or that couples experience across their lifetime. So what we're doing is we're cultivating Christian sex therapists. What is a sex therapist? It's somebody who's a licensed mental health professional, whether it's a licensed professional counselor or a licensed marriage and family therapist, who has specialized training in this field. So specifically specialized training in understanding what is sexuality and human sexuality with regard to health and dysfunction. But it also helps people to understand what is the normal versus abnormal differences in sexual experiences and sexual relationships, and really helps individuals and couples and families navigate how to work through their sexual issues. What are some of these sexual issues? It leads anywhere from biological issues like erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, painful sex, to disorders such as orgasmic disorders, desire and arousal disorders, infrequency or overuse of sexual activity. It includes masturbation, pornography, sexual dysfunctions like paraphilias. It also covers areas of sexual trauma and abuse and neglect, as well as unwanted sexual behaviors and deviant behaviors. So a lot of areas we cover with regard to the sex therapy realm. And so what's unique about this is that you don't have to be specialized in all of these areas, but you can kind of find your niche in the context of the sex therapy world. So what is Christian sex therapy? Well, the idea that we were created to be sexual, that God created us in our sexuality. Scripture talks about us being created both male and female in our gender sexuality, and he talks about the relationship between man and woman and what that looks like intimately, how they were one when they were brought together. So the idea that God created us to be sexual and he created us to share in sexual intimacy really is the big picture of being a Christian sex therapist. But really incorporating our faith and our understanding of Scripture and our love of the way that God created us to be, and establishing standards of practice around that, as well as establishing healthy goals and ideas for what is healthy sexuality. And we utilize this with regard to, like I said before, working with individuals, working with couples, and working with families in the context of a holistic approach to sexuality. So what does this look like clinically? When you come to Richmont or you begin the sex track at the university, what you'll see is for students or for professionals who are looking to get their certification in Christian sex therapy, we have a 4-sequence course. So everybody will begin with the Intro to Human Sexuality and then move on. We've got 3 intermediate classes following that, and then an opportunity to experience 2 or 3 advanced courses in order to complete the certification track and actually to move on and go through ABCST, which is the accrediting body in order to become an accredited certified Christian sex therapist. So I just want to talk a little bit about the individual tracks that we offer, what they kind of look like, and what you will learn and gain after you've experienced going through these classes. The first is, again, the Intro to Human Sexuality class. It really talks a lot about integration. You'll hear a lot about the theology of sex. What's wonderful about the Institute of Sexual Wholeness, which is the organization that brings these classes, is that they have this team approach to teaching. So you will have 2 to 3 professors in every class sharing their specialty in the field. So for every class that you have, you will hear their theology of sex, how they conceptualize their integration with regard to sex therapy, and you will hear their perspective on it as well as what it looks like in the world. And so the intro class, you'll hear differences in theologies of sex and sexuality. You will be addressing basic sexual issues. You will learn a model, the DECAR model, that really is intricate as a foundation for working with sex therapy couples. You're also really going to be challenged in your own growth and understanding of your own sexuality and your idea of what sexuality is and what it isn't. So it's a really invigorating class. A lot of the experience that we've had with students is once they take this intro class, they're sold and they're really excited about digging in a little bit more and getting a better understanding of sex therapy across the board. So after you take the intro class, which is required for all MFT students, then you will have an opportunity to take the 3 intermediate courses. One of the intermediate courses that we offer is what we call the basic issues course. This really opens up your understanding of the history and the kind of etiology of the field of sex therapy. So it kind of goes back and digs into where did sex therapy begin, who were some key players in the field with regard to theoretical orientation and who started the work. And then it also opens up to special populations. So in the basic issues, you'll talk about ethics. You'll talk about, again, the history of sexuality. You'll talk about key theories and theorists in the field. And you'll also talk about special populations such as gender and sexual identity issues. You'll talk about trauma. You'll talk about issues that are just basic dysfunctions, arousal disorders, desire disorders. All those things will be briefly covered in the basic issues course, as well as working with populations, the aging population, which is the over 50 population. Some other special populations will be working with individuals who maybe have some kind of physical ailment that keeps them from participating in what we would typically call normal sex. So somebody who's got some kind of physical issue that they have to work with alongside of being intimate with a partner. A second intermediate class that we offer is our sexual dysfunctions class, including addiction, compulsion, and paraphilic activity. This course, again, specializes in the sexual dysfunctions. So here you'll be talking about things like techniques that will treat dysfunctions such as erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation. You will look at things that will identify certain addictive or compulsive behaviors and how to navigate treatment there. And then paraphilic activity. Here you'll learn how to deal with some of the legal aspects of it, because oftentimes individuals who are caught in the compulsive activity sometimes will find that they've got some charges that have been brought against them. So you'll learn how to navigate the different pieces of the legal system alongside of some of the issues that they're dealing with. The third intermediate course that we offer is the medical issues course. This is where you will get into a lot of the psychopharmacology of the field. We've got one of the top experts in psychopharm with regard to sexual issues. Dr. Jim Childerson comes from where is he at? I think he's in the Northeast. Flies down. I think he's in Philadelphia. Flies down from Philly to come and teach on the psychopharmacology aspect of it. And so he's just brilliant. Comes in and really shares a lot of good information on the medical. What is it called? Just the medicine that individuals take and how it can have interactions with specific sexual dysfunctions, such as high blood pressure medicine, and what does that do with regard to side effects of sexual desire and arousal, things like SSRIs and SNRIs, and how that affects arousal and desire disorders. And another piece of this class is really specified to sexual trauma. So here's where we'll open up the whole piece on sexual abuse, sexual trauma, what it does developmentally, what it does to the brain, where does trauma come from, what does it look like, and then some basic treatment to it. All of these intermediate courses lead to advanced courses in more specific work, and so we'll talk a little bit about those advanced courses. We've got the Advanced Sex Therapy course, which is taught by Cliff and Joyce Penner. They fly in from California. They're specialists in the field. Cliff's a psychologist and Joyce is a nurse. They work together working with sexual dysfunctions. Again, opening up the dysfunctions, arousal disorders, desire disorders. A lot of the primary focuses includes treatment. And how to treat specific disorders. So here in the advanced classes, you'll get a lot more treatment protocol, a lot more tangible hands-on use of how to treat individuals who've experienced some of these issues. You'll focus a lot on desire, pain, arousal, orgasmic disorders, things like that with regard to this class. The Advanced Sexual Trauma and Abuse course, again, focuses on sexual trauma, really unpacks that topic significantly over the 3 days. All of these classes are set up as an intensive class format, so they are a Friday, a Saturday, a Sunday, full days. And so this course really unpacks the complexity of sexual abuse and trauma, some of the best treatment protocols in the field, as well as really probably one of the only places that you will learn how to incorporate working with sexual trauma survivors in the context of sex therapy. It's a unique population, and it's a unique population of therapists who work with individuals who've been sexually traumatized in the context of their sexual relationship with their spouses. And so this is a really excellent course with regard to advanced training and working with trauma survivors. And then we've got our Advanced Sexual Addiction course, which is just an in-depth advanced course on working with individuals who experience sex addiction and their spouses or significant others, the ramifications of the systemic issue and how the disease processes, how it affects systems related to the individual. What does it look like with regard to treatment, outcomes, different things like that. So we bring in another expert in the field. Generally, we see Dr. Mark Laser comes in, Marnie Faree comes in, a couple of specialists. We've also got some specialists who are CSAT certified to come in and work with sexual addiction. So that is another advanced course that we offer. And then our final advanced course that we currently offer is our Sexual Orientation and Sexual Identity course. Dr. Mark Yarhouse from Regent University comes in, and he teaches in this course in particular, just touching what is a hot topic of our day really, and probably isn't going to go away at all, is just the whole idea of sexual orientation, sexual identity issues that come up. And so really all of these courses, when we bring in these specialists, all of these specialists also share a lot of their own integrative pieces, their own theology on sex and sexuality, specific to the topic that they're discussing. And again, they're all the experts in the field, so they come and really share not only what they know, but they share their heart and again, their approach to integrating their faith in this field. So we are looking down the road at incorporating a systemic treatment advanced course. So that would look like maybe an advanced sex therapy course from a systems perspective, which is just another opportunity to learn a different theoretical approach to working with sex therapy couples and individuals who experience sexual issues. So finally, just wanted to share a little bit about the American Board of Christian Sex Therapy. Again, this is another piece of the Institute of Sexual Wholeness. This is the accrediting board that is a nonprofit organization that really incorporates clinicians, professors, professionals in the field, students from Richmont and other universities across the country that are members of ABCST. It's an accrediting body that accredits Christian sex therapists. It's the only one in the country. And so going through the certification track at Richmont will give you the 4 required courses that you need for certification at RGU. All you need to do is add on one more course post-grad or even while you're in school, and you can get all of the classwork done in order to get trained as a Christian sex therapist through the ABCST. So it really is an umbrella organization that not only accredits and certifies, but it supports the community. It supports Christian sex therapists across the country. We host events at different conferences, AACC, AAMFT, different conferences that we all participate in, CAPS, where we will have dinners and gatherings, and members of ABCST are able to get together and just really kind of connect. And there's also the website that we utilize in order to maintain connection. So it really is a neat organization, and so it's a part of the accrediting piece, like I said, but it's also really a part of the community. After you graduate and you get certified and move on in the field, it really kind of maintains that community feel overall. So across the board, the certification program at Richmont is a 4-course certification program. All you need is one more course after that in order to obtain all the work that you need for certification as a Christian sex therapist through Sexual Wholeness and ABCST. And you really get the top people in the field of sex therapy to come in and teach you in these courses.
You have to have heard some of these names. I mean, she's right. These are the number one people in dealing with issues of sexual addiction. Mark Laser, Mark Yarhouse for sexual identity and gender identity and things like that. I mean, these are top-rate speakers that the Institute of Sexual Wholeness flies in for these classes in this particular certificate program. And the value added is the next slide there, is that you can be certified by that, I didn't know that, you taught me something tonight, Corey, the only Christian certified Christian sex therapy organization just by one other class. Now, let me tell you a little bit difference between certificates and certification, because those sound very similar. The certificate programs here say you've had like 8 hours in trauma or in Christian sex therapy or in child and adolescent, and that's more intense training than you have in other areas, in addition to the hours you have in your core for your major degree here, MAPC or MAMFT. But certification means that you had additional training, but you also had supervision in that too. And so that's the value added for this. One more class and then 50 hours or whatever supervision, and you can say you're certified by this American Board of Christian Sex Therapy, which is huge. And you can actually do that, Corey was saying, when you're a student here. You don't have to wait till after you graduate. So.